Yesterday during this siege. Representative Khanna, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm fine. My thoughts are with the woman who lost her life, and appreciate all the first responders. But we voted around 3 a.m. yesterday to affirm democracy, and I really appreciate the speaker calling us into session and making sure that fringe groups of rioters aren't going to disrupt the American democratic process.
Congressman, where were you exactly when they breached the doors of the Capitol?
So I was in my Khanna office building, and then we got a notice that we had to evacuate because there was a pipe bomb threat. And I was headed over to the Capitol, and then I got frantic emails from my staff saying, don't go into the Capitol because it's being overrun. And so I went back to the Khanna office building. It was unclear whether they had dealt with the pipe bomb threat, but they said they had, and I just sheltered in place in my office, locked the doors until about 10 at night, and you could hear from the windows the yelling and the shouting and the protesters.
Congressman, we just heard a couple of minutes ago from Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She is calling for Mike Pence, the vice president, and the cabinet of the White House to push the president out, essentially, by using something that's never been used in this country, the 25th Amendment, to get the president out. Do you agree with her assessment that that needs to be done today?
I do. And let me tell you why. Yesterday, it was Vice President Pence who had the courage to call the National Guard. And if the National Guard had not come, the Capitol Police had been overrun, and who knows what would have happened. So the president failed to safeguard the American democracy yesterday, and that's why I think Pence needs to assume power. Now, I support the Speaker and Majority Leader, whether it's impeachment or whether it's the 25th Amendment. But what really needs to happen is a group of Republicans like Mitch McConnell need to go over to the White House and demand Trump's immediate resignation and say otherwise the votes are there for an impeachment. That's what happened in Richard Nixon's case, and I hope that's what will happen now.
What do you think happened, and who needs to pay for this huge security breach at the nation's capital?
So I think we need to distinguish between the leadership and the rank and file officers. And the reason I say that is I firsthand saw rank and file officers at risk to their own safety helping people, and I want to salute their service. That said, there are very disturbing reports about some barricades and barriers being open and protesters being allowed in. There is a mind-boggling lack of planning. We know these attacks were being planned on Parler. I mean, on social media, you had people talking about getting guns and overrunning the Capitol, and why we were not more prepared. Those questions need to be asked, and we need to hold whoever was responsible to account.
I know you need to go, but before you leave, a lot of your constituents here in the Bay Area are quite shaken by what they saw, even now, 24 hours later. What is your message to them today?
Well, first, I want to thank them for all the love they sent. I was bombarded with texts from people in the 17th District, and that really felt good. So thank you for all your thoughts. I would just say American democracy is very resilient. Look, you had the courts appointed by the president reject his claims. You had state legislatures, which Republicans control, reject his claims. You had Republican Secretary of States reject his claims. You had the Republican Senate Majority Leader and so many Republican senators reject his claims, and his own vice president rejected his claims. Democracy is in our character. It's something we hold sacred. I've lost 2 elections. I lost my first election in 4th grade. We are a democratic people, and that resilience will overcome the fringe protesters. Our institutions are too strong to be deterred either by Donald Trump or fringe protests.
Representative Khanna, we appreciate your time. We are certainly glad that you were safe yesterday and are doing well today. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.